can I be straight with y'all and let you know that this is probably going to be the most complicated overall deep dive in the entire history of Kingdom Rush. Understanding the Arborean Emmisary is, with math, is probably the most complicated thing I've ever done. I feel like I've just invented calculus, okay? But we're going to try. We're going to give it our absolute darndest here to fully understand this tower by the end of this video. That being said, definitely pay attention to the top left of this notepad here. Feel free to let me know if I've made any mistakes or anything, but I feel like I probably got it right. I feel like the numbers make sense to me. And when numbers make sense, it's like, okay, it must be something right. Anyways, we're doing a deep dive on the Arborean Emmisary, trying to understand him with numbers. Numbers. It's very difficult to do because we have some weird aspects to this tower. So straight from the get-go, you're going to notice that we do something called marking. Alright, I want to talk about this before I get into the numbers so you understand why this is so convoluted, weird, odd, confusing, and difficult to get numbers for. When we shoot an enemy, we mark an enemy. That enemy now is marked, gets more bonus damage from either attacks from the Arborean Emissary or any other tower that's attacking, or even heroes that are attacking. So you get bonus damage off this tower when they are marked. We get bonus damage off of everything when they are marked. So we have to figure out, what does that bonus mean to us? And that's probably the hardest part of the entirety of anything. Because normally we could just kind of map this out and say we do this much damage, we cost this much money, and you calculate that out. I mean, it all comes together. It's just, it makes sense. We could do the damage per minute. We have to do an extra bunch of steps here to fully understand this as a whole. And which way, I also want to mention really quickly that, just to be forthcoming, that I definitely did give this guy a bad review in my my previous video where I talked about each individual tower. I didn't really like him. I don't think he's very good. And I wanted to see, do the numbers make sense for that? Am I just an idiot that I don't know how to use him properly, or are you guys just overestimating this guy, or maybe he just magically works even though the numbers don't say that he works? That is the question here, because that is a possibility. Sometimes numbers do not tell the entirety of the story. Sometimes you get a feeling about something, or they do something like a stun, which you cannot use numbers to calculate with, or a heal, which you cannot calculate at all. Any which way, we have not dived into the numbers yet. This was all just understanding these things. Also, I should mention that the mark does happen to units that last about 5 seconds. Specifically, this guy will attack different units in particular to mark as many units as possible, which is helpful. Specifically for artillery and things that aren't attacking just necessarily the front unit. And then once the mark is gone, he will attack the front unit again, which is, again, helpful. It's designed the way that I would want it to be designed, by the way. That's something I want to mention. If I wanted this tower to work this way, that is what I would want out of him. Any which way, let's finally get to the numbers here. So this is the cost of the tower. This is the total cost of the tower. The average damage of the tower, all just kind of straightforward stuff. You just kind of take these two numbers, you add them together, you divide by 2, you get the average damage that they possibly do. Sometimes you have to involve some RNG aspects of it. Like, this guy's a fairly high RNG tower, and he can do a lot of damage sometimes, not a lot of damage other times. It's just kind of a thing you have to get used to, right? Consistency can be helpful in a lot of situations, but RNG does not automatically mean you're a bad tower, specifically if you get used in the front of the map, or maybe in the middle of the map, but definitely not in the back of the map. Not good to have a very inconsistent tower, usually. So then we get to the attack speed. This is all something that I specifically just counted. I watched the game for 1 minute, and I counted how many attacks that this guy did, and that's the amount of attacks we did, 34 attacks. So then we go down to the damage per minute. You can easily calculate this out by saying, well, we attack this much, we do that much average damage, and boom, you get the number here of damage per minute. And lastly, efficiency. Now, the efficiency number is, again, a made-up number. All you do is you take the damage per minute divided by the cost, and you get an efficiency. All right, you can clearly see we just, in the top left corner up here, if you take these numbers into consideration, just 153 divided by 100 is 1.53. So, as easy as that. Any which way, this efficiency, if you compare it to other towers, is awful! Absolute garbage! Like, literally, the worst in the game by a long shot. A longity shot of ridiculousness. It's like, dang, this thing frickin' sucks! Now, just as an example, Royal Archers are about 4. This guy not only does half that, it's less than half that. So, oh boy. Yeah, that's pretty freaking rough there, boys. That's pretty freaking rough indeed. So, anyways, that does not tell the entirety of the story, though. We have to, again, dive deeper, and we're diving again, extremely, extremely deep here. Probably the deepest that I've ever dove in my entire life today. But let's try. Let's give it our shot, our best shot here. So we do a bonus damage. I told you guys that we mark the enemies. We do bonus damage. It's going to increase as you tier up. So tier 1 is 0.2 or 20%, and tier 4 is going to be 50% or 0.5. So we could use that number in combination with another tower. So I wanted to find out, does this do bonus damage if we use it with another tower, like a Royal Archer? Like, does it make sense to use it with a Royal Archer to get the bonus damage out of it, and will it actually do a reasonable amount of damage? So we're going to go a step further after this, but just bear with me here with the Royal Archer example, okay? The Royal Archers are going to do that much damage. They're going to get a bonus damage from the Arborean Emmisary. We basically take the amount of attacks that the Royal Archer is going to do, and we know how much total damage they're doing, and we can, of course, take 20% of that, 30% of that, 40%, or 50% of that, and that is how much bonus damage we're going to do with those attacks. Now, this is, again, with almost absolute perfection, where this tower is doing things literally perfect. We are hitting every single enemy with a marked thing, and then the Royal Archer is hitting only marked enemies in the situation. Only marked enemies. He never does not hit a marked enemy in the situation. Just want to be straight with that, okay? This is like literally perfection, okay? At its heart, absolute and beautiful perfection. That being said, this is the bonus damage, and I want to mention again that I used a tier 2 Royal Archer, tier 3, 4, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 Royal Archer, which is probably a little goofy. I just figured if you've got an emissary here, you're not like a 4th tier emissary with a tier 2 Archer Tower. You're probably leveling them up together or something like that. So this is just an example of, again, just look at the tier 4 if you really don't want to look at any of the other crap here, which is probably the way a lot of people are going to look at this. Any which way, the bonus damage is that. The damage with the bonus now needs to be calculated. So now we needed to say that the total damage that the tower does plus the bonus damage needs to be incorporated together to understand what our new efficiency should be. Right? So we take that and we get a new efficiency. This is our new efficiency. It's 2.10 to 3.15. Now things are coming together a little bit. If you've got a Royal Archer in addition to an Arborean Emissary here, and they're actually working together in unison, they might be able to be used fairly effectively. Okay, 2.1, 2.3, 2.6, and 3.1. Not as great as just a base Royal Archer and just spamming Royal Archers already. Okay, so you'd rather not get a Royal Archer and Arborean Emissary. You'd rather get 2 Royal Archers in this situation. So far. Just throw it out there. But again, that is not the entirety of the story. What about if I had 2 Royal Archers and they worked in unison in perfection? Could we make that be a little bit better for us? So I took the 2 towers. That doubled the damage, basically. And with that damage, we get a new efficiency here of 2.6, 3.1, 4.0, and 4.98. We're finally in the green! 4.98. So if you get a 4th tier with 2 Royal Archers doing everything absolutely perfect, you can do enough damage with a Royal, where the Arborean Emissary is actually worth it to buy instead of just spamming Royal Archers. Just as an example. Okay? So we did it! We did it! We finally did it! Oh my god, it's so freaking exciting. But again, that is with almost perfection. If everything works out absolutely perfect, instead of just spamming kind of towers all over the place and making things happen with Royal Archers or crossbows or whatever. Any which way, that is kind of the story of the Arborean Emissary. If you've got 2 towers in addition to them kind of doing good damage all together with almost perfection, you can make them worthwhile by having just one of these guys in combination with 2 other towers to make them make sense. And if you've got 3 other towers or 4 other towers, that extra damage can really add up and actually make a lot of sense. For example, if I could get 4 Royal Archers here that are all attacking just the front Arborean Emissary unit here, oh yeah, that guy actually makes sense. Like, it'll actually be very efficient as far as I'm concerned. Will that always happen? Not necessarily, but it's definitely a late game concept. You need to have good high-tier towers to do enough damage, to combine with this guy to do the bonus damage to make it actually work properly. Any which way, I feel like I tried really hard there. And I know that there's, like, possibilities of me, like, making mistakes or not understanding this guy in a 100% perfect way. But I really tried. I really tried. So if you guys want to be nice to me again, press like. Okay, I really appreciate that. Or let me know what kind of mistakes I made in the comments below. I see that a lot of people have been complaining about some of my other videos. And when I look at the actual comments, I think that people are wrong. So I'm like, you can still be wrong and still get upvotes. It doesn't matter. I could also be wrong, though. Just throwing that out there. Probably going to die here, by the way. But any which way, that's not the entire story of this tower here. We can do one other thing. So I want to mention really quickly that I'm not going to be talking about the fairies at all. we can use the Gift of Nature in a somewhat effective way to heal up our guys. Now, as far as a lot of people are concerned, that could be an incalculable, unbelievable power to have on your team here, because there's no other way. Oh my god. There's almost no other hero, tower, pretty much anything besides, I believe, the Paladin Covenant, like, heals your guys effectively. This is kind of the only thing. So if you want something that's going to heal up all your peeps, you don't really have many other options. So this, again, could be a pretty solid thing. And I honestly believe that he heals up a pretty reasonable amount here. Talking 16 times 6, 32 times 6, and 48 times 6 here. Again, all very reasonable things to use. So I'm going to leave them kind of alone. I'm not going to try to calculate it out. Just know that the fairies are kind of fun and cool. Okay. Any which way, though, that does not explain the Bramble Grass. We cannot, again, fully understand how good a stun is based on how much money that it saves us or makes us or is worth. We can't say that 1 second stun is worth 46 gold damage output kind of situation. So we're kind of like going with a feeling based on the stun. But we can calculate the damage output. The Bramble Grasp can do 3 roots along the path, dealing 40 true damage, and true damage is important here, also stunning enemies for 3 seconds. So if we have that, we should know that, first of all, it actually attacks fairly quickly. It attacks 4.6 times per minute. I think there's every 13.5 seconds or something, 13 seconds. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was like 13 seconds, so it attacks pretty reasonably quickly here. Then we can look at the total damage that we're doing here. So we're going to do damage to 3 guys, or 120 for the first level. 5 times 40 for the second level, and then 8 times 40 for the third level. Again, this is one thing that it's like we're definitely maxing this guy out. We're saying every time we're Bramble Grasping here, we are hitting 8 guys, which is not always going to be the case. We're definitely going to be wasting or squandering some of our root damage here, because there's no way we're attacking 8 units every single time, just straight up. So that, you know, we're min-maxing with all this. We have to fully understand that this is the best case scenario for this tower. Any which way, the cost. It's very fair. 160, 160, and 160. But really, that's 160, 320, and 480. So this is why we do it, guys. Make sure we don't make any mistakes. We got to work together here. That is going to give us the total damage output that we have possible to us if we're maxing out the tower. Every single time we're getting those 8 routes along the trail here. That's the damage. This is the efficiency then. Believe it or not, the first tier is going to be pretty much by far the most efficient, randomly. If you really math it out, it'd be 3, 6, and 9 to make it make sense perfectly, but instead it's 3, 5, and then 8. So that's why the first tier is going to be the most effective here. So yeah. I mean that's it in a nutshell. That being said, that's still a little lower than a lot of the other towers here, but definitely not bad in any way, shape, or form. 3.4, 2.8, and 3.0 are reasonable numbers for us to have for a tower that we do not have any numbers for the stun for. The stun is, again, incalculable for us because it's something that you just can't really understand what the heck a 3-second stun does. It's, of course, going to allow us to have way more time to attack these guys and allow us to even do multiple different Bramble Grasps to this guy in a single run-through here. So any which way,
like the desert.
This is a weird tower. It's very difficult to fully understand him and how well he can be used in combination with other things. It's difficult to know whether or not the actual upgrade here is worth it. But at the very least, you probably need at least 2 other towers attacking on top of this guy with a perfect mark every single time for him to be an effective addition to your team. So you never want to start off this guy. You never want to combine him with one other tower. Get at least 2, probably 2 4th tiers before you end up getting this guy. Probably even 3 or even 4 towers before you even buy a single Arborean Emissary, if you ask me. That's what the numbers say. That's what I'm sticking with. So the last thing we'll do for you guys is we'll show you guys the entirety of the situation here. This is the Arborean Emissary in a nutshell as far as the numbers are concerned. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you press the like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you absolutely think that my numbers are completely wrong and I'm an idiot, you can feel free to let me know in the comments below what you would change and what I did wrong. And of course, have a super duper delicious day.